Hi guys! So it's a cold and foggy day here today, so I was supposed to go down to the library earlier, but I decided I would stay indoors. So I'm using the time I would have spent researching Untangling Fairy Lights. What have I been doing this week? Mostly I've been working on Secrets and Lies, which is the thriller I'm working on. I got past the bit that was causing me problems. I'm not entirely happy with it still, but it'll do. It's first draft, I can fix it later. I've been doing a lot of research into the area that it's set into, Peachtree City, Georgia, which was a planned development and has a fascinating number of golf carts, like is the only way to describe it. I think it's really good actually. They've got a series of connected pathways and sort of a connected network of stuff where you can drive your golf carts, assuming you register it, which is changing the end of the story, because I knew there were a lot of golf carts. I didn't realise quite how widespread they were. My other half was watching a YouTube video by Tom Scott last night, which happened to be on Peachtree City in Georgia, and I went, oh, okay, well this is a useful thing, so I bookmarked that. And that was all about the golf carts, so I may have to change the ending of the story a little bit to incorporate some more local detail, I think. It's always important when you're writing something that's in a specific real place that you remember to check things like weather conditions, what it's like at the time of year that your story has been set. Is there a big event that month usually? Like if you're setting something in Kentucky and you forget to include that the Derby is on at the time of your story, you're doing something wrong. So background research is always good. So the camera angle has changed because it fell off the stack of books it's leaning on. So professional. I've been doing a lot of stuff for Coleman Editing this week, so that's my real job rather than my writing job. I'm really enjoying the thing I'm working on, which of course I can't tell you about. So, and what happens when I tend to do more editing is I do more reading. So I've been reading the AA directory again. I've been coming across some amazing names. I'm assured by Wikipedia that they're all real. What were some of them? Perkin Warbeck, who I'd not heard of before, who was an imposter king. But it's a good name, it's got a good rhythm to it. Perkin Warbeck. Who was another one? Oh, Grinling Gibbons, my favourite woodcarver. He was an extraordinary craftsman. He seems to have done work in almost every major stately home in Britain. I think he's mentioned in almost every third page in the directory. He did really, really cool wood carvings and decorations and stuff, and I suppose he was all the rage, you know. So yeah, Grinling. As a first name though, Grinling. What was the one I found last night that was brilliant? Cloudsley Shovel. That might be my favourite actually. He was a naval officer, quite a distinguished one as it turns out. I think he died in the Battle of Scilly. I've opened his Wikipedia page, but I've not read it yet. So I'll be doing some more reading of that later on. But yeah, sort of thinking about research and reading and stuff, I was thinking about something Terry Pratchett said. Someone asked him, as a writer, what should you read? Should you read other writers' work? And what's the best thing to do in order to prepare yourself to be a writer? And he said, read everything. Like, not just fantasy novels if you want to write fantasy. I mean, it's good to, it's good to read anything. But don't just read what you want to write. Read random books about railways or cloud dynamics or the way information has been stored over time. You never know where inspiration for your story is going to come from, and you never know where a story is going to go or what you might use. So apart from it being fun and fascinating, I think reading around a subject, or any subject, or random subjects, just because you can, is really a useful thing to do as a writer. It also got me thinking about naming. If you watched last week's video, you'll know I set off the superstars on a bunch of writing prompts and challenges last week as a break in between our year of prompts and the next one. And one of the ones I set was the ABC Character Challenge. Now this one you have to choose one character for every letter of the alphabet you happen to work in, whose name corresponds with that letter, and give a short description. But the thing that we really started talking about was when you name characters, every author has a sort of set pattern they stick to. I know, for example, I got them all to write down every character they had, to go through all of the books, on all of the short stories and everything, and write down each character name. Which turned out to be quite a useful exercise, because it turns out I, for example, seem to have a preponderance of characters whose name begins with A. I think I've gone through almost every A name, although mostly female. Most of my male character names begin with C or P, which is the thing I'm going to have to move away from. We're also talking about the types of names that people use, so you can really tell, looking at a story, which part of the English-speaking world a person comes from, mostly, for the most part, by what character names they've picked out. So, for example, someone working in Yorkshire would have different character names probably than someone in Canada, or someone in Australia, because we have different names around us. So, when I was growing up, at university, we had a ridiculous number of Pauls, but when I was in school, every other person seemed to be called Alex. So those are the names that have sort of stuck with me. And I use grandparents' names and great-grandparents' names, which I thought was interesting. So I might come up with a writing exercise to do with namings. Yes! The end of this week, I'm going down to see a couple of friends of mine, which is going to be, I can't wait, I'm so excited. The people I work with through Coleman Editing, but also some old school friends. I know all three of us are writers, so we might do some content together if we can think of some good topics for you. One of the things I want to do while I'm there is plot out some more murder mystery plays. The last one I wrote was 1920s. Murder Mystery Party. It went down really well. I want to do a different time period. I was hoping we could do a few, actually. I want to do one set in the 60s. I was thinking of setting one in a brewery, because there's a local venue here that's a brewery. But I'm not sure how they'd feel about me using their equipment to kill someone off and then going, alright, and now go to the bar and drink the stuff they died in. So we'll have to see how that turns out. For anyone on the Pratchett tier or above, there is a Q&A session today, in fact, Wednesday the 12th of December at 3 p.m. I'll be there with a mince pie and a cup of tea, assuming that my other half hasn't eaten all of the mince pies already. And I'll be ready to answer questions about anything, really. It's getting rather close to Christmas, so some of the content that comes up soon may be rather questionably festive, so I apologise in advance for that. It may not be, we'll have to see. I've already got my tinsel up and my tree, and as you can see I'm working on my fairy lights. These I've had up for more than a year, I think, and they ran out of battery a month into that, so it's taken me that long to replace the batteries. So let's hope it doesn't take me quite as long to do some Christmassy content. Hope you have a good week, and yeah, I hope it's not quite as foggy where you are as it is here, because it is a proper pea super. Bye!